Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today we're going to take a look at the amount of content in BF4. This is a topic I've spoken about in previous videos, but I think now that the spring patch has come out, it's a great time to cover this in more detail. I think we all know that BF4 is one of the most ambitious FPS games of all time, but with so much content, how could you go wrong, right? Well, I think over the last year we've seen that bigger isn't necessarily better, and I'm sure many of you guys have probably wondered, does BF4 have too much content? Before we start though, I should point out that the sheer size of BF3 and BF4 is probably what helped these games to survive for so long. That being said, BF3 has a lot less content compared to BF4, and it still has a decent player base even after almost 4 years. BF Hardline, on the other hand, is suffering from a poorly balanced weapon list, which effectively is like having less content. I think what we can learn from both of these games is that survival does depend on content, but you don't need to go to the extremes of BF4 to make a game successful. So what is the problem with a lot of content? Well, most importantly, it becomes really hard to balance, and each additional expansion creates more balancing problems. BF4 has seen a consistent flow of weapon balancing patches for almost 2 years now, and yet there's still things in the game that can get frustrating. What's more is that probably only less than a quarter of the weapons are actually competitive in-game, and there are just some weapons that aren't worth using at all. More weapons definitely gives you new ways to kill people, but we haven't seen any guns added that change the core gameplay for a long time now. Another big bloating issue in BF4 I think is DLC maps and game modes, and after 5 expansions and the spring patch there's still more to come. There's nothing wrong with a variety of maps and game modes in theory, but the fact is, even with 70,000 people still playing the game daily, it's very hard to find populated DLC servers. What's even harder is trying to find populated servers running DLC modes, which is such a shame considering how many different modes there are in-game. I think the problem is that most maps aren't designed for one particular mode, so all of the specialty modes just don't play as well on every single map. So how does DICE fix these issues? Well, to be honest, I don't think that's possible in BF4, but in BF5 maybe they'll limit the total amount of weapons and maps. Even reducing the amount of content by a quarter would still make BF5 one of the biggest FPS games ever made, and this would give the devs exponentially more time to work on balancing. I mean, think about it, would 80 guns really be a big issue, bearing in mind that this is still more weapons than BF3 had? Also, are all those specialty modes even worth it if no one is going to play them after the first month? These are all questions I think DICE have really got to start considering. I spoke about the price of DLC in a video the other day, and I think this ties in because I feel like the bloating is DICE trying to make premium worth the cost. I think making BF5 a smaller but more solid game to begin with though, would be much smarter rather than trying to make it more appealing after it comes out. And that brings us up to date with where we are now, because I think DICE are starting to spam us with content just to keep the player base happy. Don't get me wrong, I think this will work to some degree, but I just don't think they would have needed to do this if the game didn't take almost 2 years to perfect. But anyway guys, what do you think about bloating in BF4? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see more of my videos, or if you'd like to support my channel on Patreon. And until next time, see you later, and have a good one.